What's going on, everyone? Michael Wolverine here with another video in my collection showcase. For today's video, I'm going to go through my Xbox collection. I'm going to show the system, the accessories, and all the games I have. So I did capture some gameplay footage for all of the games as well. So I'll talk a little bit about my initial experiences with the games and just some memories I have and things like that. So first off, here is my console. So it's just the standard black console. The original Xbox, I do want to say, is probably one of the best systems to get started if you're trying to start out a retro collection, because the system itself is still fairly inexpensive and a lot of the games are still incredibly cheap. Like all the heavy hitters, most of them you can get for $10, $15 complete. There's some games that are still pricey, but most of those are like the more rare, obscure ones that didn't have a high print run. But your Halos, Fable, Grand Theft Auto, things like that, those are very, very inexpensive games. So the one downside about the original Xbox, it seems like a lot of them have this problem, is the disc tray. Whenever you try to open it, if you don't have a disc in the tray, it seems to get stuck very easily. So it's an easy thing to remedy. You just have to leave a disc in the console. The only annoying thing is if you ever do move the console, you have to be careful to, not damage your disc. So for me, what I do is I'll just put like either a blank CD or just a generic CD or something like that in my console, just to, something I don't care about if it does get scratched up. But that's the only issue I have with the Xbox. Overall, it's a fantastic console. And the other reason why I recommend it if you're starting a collection is it has a lot of modern features that haven't really changed much. The controllers are very similar to the Xbox One controllers, and it just has a lot of modern games, or closer to modern games than something like the Nintendo 64 has, for example. So it's just a great console to collect for, and definitely one to dip your toe in if you're interested. So let's go through some of the accessories I have. So I do have this here. So this is actually a plug-and-play adapter. I don't know if you can see that. This is by Kaiko. So basically this is an HDMI plug-and-play adapter to, you plug it directly into your Xbox and then you can play it through HDMI via this port here. It's a really nice accessory because you don't have to mod your system at all. I don't think it gets the best picture. Obviously, if you mod it, you're probably going to get a lot better picture than something like this. But it is a very serviceable picture, in my opinion, and this is a pretty inexpensive accessory. I think you can get this on Amazon for about $30. And they do have these for other consoles as well. I only have one for the Xbox, so I can't really speak on the others. But for this one in particular, the only issue I have is it does have a 4:3 aspect ratio. So all the games are letterboxed on my HD TV, which is a bit annoying. You could probably update that or correct that with a in your TV settings, and maybe some of the games have a widescreen option. I haven't been able to figure it out personally, but it is probably something you can adjust. But that is one thing I want to mention. But overall, it does give you a very clean picture, and it's a very easy alternative, or something, an option you have if you want to play over HDMI. So yeah, basically it just plugs right back in your Xbox, and then you plug in your HDMI cord right there, and you're good to go. And it does come with an HDMI cord, so you don't have to purchase one separately. Okay, let's go through my accessories first. Let's do this one. So first thing off, I have the Xbox Playback Kit. So the original Xbox, for some reason, is the DVD feature is blocked beyond. You have to use this adapter or this dongle in order to watch DVDs. So if you plan to do that, I don't know if you really would care most of the time, but it is something nice, I guess, if you want to have an extra DVD player. So you have to buy one of these to do that. This is pretty cheap still. I think you can get these on the used market for like $10, and even brand new. I think I bought this one brand new for like $20. So still pretty cool. You can actually get these brand new. But basically, Just plug that into one of the controller ports and use this as a normal remote and you can watch movies. Alright, so let's go through my controllers. So first off, I have this Mad Catz wireless controller. It has a dongle right here. So a lot of these early 3D early wireless controllers are not the best, and this one I did try it out a little bit. It's not the greatest. It gave me a little bit of problems connecting. Like there was a few times it would just go out and I wouldn't be able to get a signal at all. I just think these these early wireless controllers have some issues with the technology. Either they were just cheaply made or just not well designed. I don't know what it is, but basically they use kind of a similar technology to like a television remote. So you kind of have to keep them within range of this. And they just tend to give you a little bit of lag and stuff. This one didn't really seem to bother me much when I actually got it to work. I think the issue was I just couldn't get it to work most of the time. So, not something I'll probably use, but I did get it when I bought this Xbox. And I'm going to link a for the unboxing video I did when I got this. So if you guys want to see that, I'll put a little box in my video here so you guys can go ahead and check that out. Alright, so let's go through the next controller I have, and this is one that I think every Xbox owner should have. That is the Duke, which honestly this wasn't even called the Duke at the time. This was just the standard controller, but I think over time it's gotten that name just because of how massive it is. And yeah, this is definitely just screams Xbox to me. Functionally, I personally don't use this one as much as the other controller I'm about to show you guys, but it is just really cool to have this one. It is so massive and just how I remember the Xbox when I first saw it, and it's just a really unique controller to have because you just don't see things like this very often, but just a massive controller and just really cool. Let's move it over here. Room for that bad boy. Alright, and then the other controller I have is the standard S controller. So this is the redesign that Microsoft made when they, I guess they just thought that one was obviously way too big, and so they redesigned it. And this one is obviously a lot closer to what they have now with the Xbox One, and this is just a fantastic controller. The sticks placement is perfect. The buttons are crisp. The triggers are not analog, but they're very snappy. I mean, it's just a really good controller, well made, and just another reason why I highly recommend the Xbox, because this controller is fantastic. All right, and then one last accessory. I have a Xbox memory unit. This is called. So basically, it's a memory card. The awesome thing about the original Xbox is it has an internal hard drive, which allows you to basically store every game you own, honestly, because I think you could store probably every game that exists on the Xbox. I remember back in the day, my brothers and I, we would rent games, of course, all the time. And so we probably had, over the years that we owned it, probably 100 or so games saved on our Xbox, and it never once told us, hey, you don't have enough memory for this or that. So you don't really need this. The main reason I guess you would want one of these is to transfer data to another system. The only reason I have this is when I bought the Duke controller, it did come with this. But yeah, cool to have, I guess, but not needed, of course. The other thing about the Xbox that's amazing is you can store music. So if you still have some old CDs, you can burn music to your Xbox and then listen to them during some games that support it. So a very cool feature that honestly I wish they would bring back with modern consoles. I know CDs are kind of obsolete now, but it's still an amazing feature. Alright, so let's go through my games. So first off, I have a loose copy of Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Now unfortunately, this one does not work. It's very scratched up. My brothers and I have had this one for a little while. Just over the years, we didn't lose this one, or we didn't sell this one for whatever reason, and it got used a lot, so it unfortunately doesn't work. I was able to get through the the startup screen, but once I hit the start button on the menu screen, it freezes. So I do need to get this resurfaced one day, and maybe I can, and I'll get it to work. But would really like to get this one to working because it's a really fun game. All right, so next up, another loose disc. I have a copy of Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy. So don't even know where I got this game. Honestly, I was just digging through some old stuff, and I just happen to still have this, and it works. And it's actually a pretty fun little game. I haven't played too much of it, but I did, like I said, capture it for this video. Seems like a pretty cool Star Wars game. And one thing about this era is that Star Wars games were just, there were just so many of them, and they were good. You know, like we didn't just have like the Battlefront, you know, kind of like where we got, you know, a few years ago, where it's just a bunch of microtransactions. These were really well thought out games that just had a ton to do, and just really good games, and just they went crazy with the Star Wars license. There was just so many different Star Wars games, and they were all really good. So this one's one I'll have to try and play a little bit more. Seems like a cool action adventure game. You kind of start out, make your character, and then I guess you just progress through the story. And I don't know if it's like more of like an RPG or just more of an action game. I'm not really sure, but seems like a pretty cool game. So have to play that one a little bit more. All right, so the first category I'm going to go through is my just kind of miscellaneous. I wasn't really sure where to categorize these, and also I don't really have too many in a certain category, so I just kind of like lump these together. So the first one I have is Street Fighter Anniversary Collection, and I have this one complete. So this has Street Fighter 2, or Hyper Street Fighter 2, and the Third Strike Street Fighter 3. It also says it has a full-length feature film of Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, so I have to check that out. So really good game, I think, if you're a Street Fighter fan. I suck at fighting games, I'm not very good at them, and I don't play them too much, so definitely getting my butt kicked in this video, but a lot of fun game. If you're a Street Fighter fan, and I think I saw this one for pretty cheap, so I picked it up. Next one I have is this Burger King game, Big Bumpin'. This one is complete. And yeah, I mean, what can I say? It's not a great game, but it is really cool that these exist. I think the idea of a fast food restaurant making a video game is just crazy to think of these days, but Burger King came out with these. I believe there was 3 of them. And, you know, not great games, but I don't think you would expect them to be. But just so unique that they came out with these games. And I think you could buy them at Burger King for like $6-7. I can't remember, but pretty nice. This one is kind of like I don't want to say it's like a Rocket League, but it kind of has this like, you know, it's kind of like an air hockey type game where you play it with like a car. Controls horribly. It wasn't very fun. Honestly, I may end up getting rid of this game at some point, but I did want to check it out, and I still have it in my collection at this point. But yeah, it's a, I don't know, maybe it'd be more fun with 2 people, but I had a really hard time getting the controls down. And then the next one, because, I mean, I think everybody's got to have this game in their collection, Dead or Alive Extreme Beats Volleyball. Of course, this one is also complete. And, you know, look, I know what you guys are going to say. Why do I own this game? Well, let me tell you something. This might be the best looking game on the original Xbox. I mean, the graphics, they look pretty damn good. I'm just going to say that. Overall, the gameplay, though, this game is very strange. So, if I had to explain it, basically what you're trying to do is you have to buy gifts to give to the other girls, to get them to like you, to then join up with them to play volleyball. And then you play volleyball, and then if you win, you get money, and then you can upgrade your swimsuits and buy different gifts, and yeah, whatever. I mean, it's a pretty shallow game. I definitely don't ever expect them to make a game like this these days, but back in this time, that is what they did. So, Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball. Don't judge me, guys. Alright, so next category is my sports games. So first up, I have NCAA 2005 and Topspin. This one is also complete, and there's manuals for both. There's There's the other one right there. So Microsoft had these dual discs that they packed in. They had a bunch of different ones. And so they were just random. Like this one, at least you can understand. It's like Topspin and NCAA football. But there were some that are just like two random, completely different games, which I guess it kind of makes sense because if you're buying an Xbox, you get two different genres of games. So pretty cool. So there's a bunch of these dual discs. I don't know exactly how many of them. I think it'd be cool to maybe try to collect them all. But this one, the old school NCAA football games are a lot of fun, even to this day. And Topspin's actually a pretty good tennis game, so I'll definitely have to go back and try to play these a little bit more. I actually do want to try to play NCAA football because I always enjoyed those back in the day, and I still think they're great. All right, next one I have is FIFA World Cup 2006. So this is basically the FIFA game for the World Cup in Germany. And essentially it's FIFA, but the World Cup mode. And I always enjoy the World Cup modes for whatever reason. I guess it was just easier for me to understand. I'm not a huge soccer fan, but I do enjoy the video games. And I think playing through the World Cup is a lot simple, and I enjoy that aspect of the game. So I've always liked these, and this was the newest one that is on the Xbox, so I thought I'd pick it up. Next one is SXX Tricky, and this is the Platinum Hits version, but it is complete. Amazing game. I mean, this is one of the best, probably the best game. I mean, it's on other systems, but just in this era, this game right here is so much fun. If you love snowboarding games, definitely pick this one up. Honestly, you've probably played it if you love snowboarding games, but SSX Tricky, just a ton of fun, a blast flying down the mountain, doing all the obnoxious tricks, and just trying to win the races, and playing with friends, and just an absolute blast. And to go with that, I had to get SXX3, so this is the follow-up to SSX Tricky. And in a lot of ways, this one might be better. I prefer Tricky just because that's the one that I kind of played the most growing up. But I think SSX3 is definitely more of the same, and that's not a bad thing because Tricky was great. This one's great. If you guys, again, if you're into snowboarding games, you've never played these games, you need to go play them ASAP. Very cheap games to pick up. You can get them on the PS2, the GameCube, and the Xbox. Fantastic games. Go play them right now if you haven't. All right, another one. I actually never played this at the time. I had an Xbox. This is Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2X. This one is complete. So this one is basically Tony Hawk 2, but has a little bit of, I guess it's extra because of the X, but obviously it's Xbox. So basically, Tony Hawk 2, the sequel, obviously it's Tony Hawk 1, and just a lot of fun playing this game back in the day. I remember picking it up on the PlayStation 1, I think for one of my birthdays, and I played it a ton. Never played it on the Xbox, but the Xbox version is really cool because you can actually listen to your own soundtrack for the music that you have on your hard drive, so you can play anything you want as long as it's on your Xbox while you're skating, and then just enjoy some old school Tony Hawk goodness. I mean, not much I can say. It's just a fantastic game. All right, next one I have is High Heat 2004. This one is also complete. I had a lot of fun playing this game growing up. I just loved these old school baseball games. I think they were a lot more simple to me, which was the issue that I have, or is the issue I have with the newer ones. I think they're fun, but I just struggle with them. So playing these older ones that are just simplified controls, you hit a certain button, swing, and fielding's easy. And it just doesn't overcomplicate things, and it makes it just a very fun, enjoyable experience. So I had a lot of fun playing through the seasons in this game and playing through the playoffs, and I'm trying to do that now when I have time because this is a really good game. And then last, I have Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2006. This one is complete. There goes my manual. But yeah, so basically, typical golf game. Tiger Woods PGA Tour 06. I had some fun playing these games. I just think they are, something about golf games are just a lot of fun. I think maybe it's just the individual aspect of the sport. You know, you can kind of, you know, play against your friends, and it's not a game where you have to control the whole team of players. You can just play with one golfer, and so it's kind of easy. And then, you know, playing through the seasons is fun, just to kind of build up your character and things like that. So, you know, I enjoy these golf games.
Yes.
I'll have to give this one more of a play. All right, so let's see. Next up, let's do racing. So first up, we have Rally Sport Challenge, and we have Rally Sport Challenge 2. Obviously, this one's loose. Rally Sport Challenge 1 is complete. So Xbox had some good racing games on this system. This one is obviously a little bit of a change of pace, I guess I would say. It's not really arcadey, but I wouldn't call it simulation either. It's more, you know, I guess Rally Sport, I'm not really familiar with it, but I guess it's more of like mountain climbing, you know, racing, and just for racing in mud, things like that. So I had some fun playing this game. I couldn't really tell the difference from either one. They kind of seemed like more of the same, which isn't a bad thing, you know. So if you like the game, you have two options, or you have, you know, extra things to do. So it seemed like there was a lot of content to the game, and a lot of things to do. So I enjoyed what I played of it. Go check it out, guys, if you want. Again, it's pretty cheap games. Alright, next one is Project Gotham Racing 2, Platinum Hits version. This one is complete, and my manual fell out again. There it is. So yeah, this one definitely seems like a blast to play. I really like all the options in the cars, and there's tons of races to do. I mean, this game seems like you have to put some hours into to finish it or to complete it. It seems like there's just tons and tons and tons to do. It can be overwhelming, but if you're into these type of games, I'm sure you'll have a blast playing it. Another great thing about this one is you can actually listen to your music while you're racing. So again, store some stuff on your hard drive, and you can, you know, blast that music while you're playing through this game. So really good game as well. All right, next one is the original Forza Motorsport, and again, this one is complete, and I don't know why that keeps happening. But yeah, so basically Forza Motorsport, this is probably a little more simulation, not as much as like a Gran Turismo, but definitely not as arcadey as like Need for Speed or something like that. So this game is definitely one of those, if you're a car person, I think you would love these type of games. Forza Motorsport, just another fun racing game. Alright, last racing game I have is Top Gear RPM Tuning, and this one is complete, but it is not an original Xbox case. So, this one's kind of a generic racer. Didn't really find too much enjoyment with it, but just something I have in the collection, and you know, if you can find it cheap, you might find fun with it, but yeah, it's pretty generic. Alright, so let's go through my action-adventure games. So first up, I have the Grand Theft Auto Double Pack. So this one has Vice City and 3. Both of these are complete, but I'm missing the map. I don't know what to say about Grand Theft Auto. Just a fantastic series, and Grand Theft Auto 3, you know, was the one that really took the series into what it has become now, kind of the first stepping stone, because the first two were top down. The third one was, you know, behind the back and more 3D and open-ended. And so I remember playing Grand Theft Auto 3 on the PlayStation 2, and it was just like mind-blowing. And then when we got an Xbox, I got this double pack, and because I never had played Vice City, and I was so excited that Grand Theft Auto was finally on the Xbox. And Vice City, honestly, I think Vice City is better than Grand Theft Auto 3. That would be the one I would prefer to play. But these are just, you can't go wrong. And again, this is a great thing to pick up for any fan, because you get two great games. It's pretty cheap. I think complete, you can get this for about $25. So definitely keep your eye out if you see this. This is a fantastic bang for your buck. Next one up, I have Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. This one is complete, but I believe it's missing the map. Yeah, it's pretty common because most people would put those on their wall. But yeah, I wasn't a big fan of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I guess I just didn't like how how much extra stuff there was to do. You know, you had to keep your character fit, you had to eat, you had to do different things that you didn't really have to worry about in Vice City or Grand Theft Auto 3. And, you know, but I do want to go back and play this game because I think a lot of people would say this is probably the best one. I think the story is really good. There's just a lot of variety to the missions, and it's a totally different world that you get to explore. So I need to go back and play Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. So I look forward to doing that because, again, I never beat this one. I always owned it. And what was really cool is I think you have to kind of progress to the third area in this game, but there is a part where you can actually play 2 players in this game, which was a ton of fun. I remember I was hanging out at one of my friend's house for, I guess, one of his birthday parties or something, and we were just staying up late all night playing Grand Theft Auto 2-player, and I came back home and I had Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and I tried to get to that area of the map where the icon was that you could activate the 2-player mode, but I couldn't get there without dying because I didn't really have access to it. So I was like trying to cheat and use a plane that, you know, and then of course if you go into an area that you're not able to, you don't have access to before you're able to get there, the cops come after you. So yeah, I'll have to get there normally, you know, this time, but I do plan to play more of this game because it was a ton of fun, if you guys know what I'm talking about. Alright, next one up, we got Splinter Cell Pandora tomorrow. This one is complete as well. It's got a little bit of a video store label on it. But the Splinter Cell series was a ton of fun back then. Very good stealth gameplay. And I remember this one had, I don't really know if you could, obviously you can't do it now, the Xbox Live, but there was a Xbox Live mode where you could play with, so one team was the, they had guns and they would try to like capture you, and then the other person would have to be stealth and try to hide and kill everyone else. And I remember being a lot of fun back then. I'm sure there's a way to play it offline, but playing it online was a blast. But yeah, so this is a really good game. I think this is the second one in the series. So any of the Splinter Cell series, I think you can't go wrong with. Alright, next one I have is the Platinum Hits version of Hitman 2. This one is complete as well. And yeah, I never played a lot of Hitman games, but when I did pop this one in, I had a blast with it. You know, Hitman's one of those games that gives you a lot of freedom. It gives you a lot of there's really a bunch of different ways to go through the different missions, and it's pretty challenging, but I think, especially if you're going to try to, you know, go through it, I think the way the game wants you to. If you just want to go in guns blasting, it's probably not too difficult, but if you want to try to be stealth and like, you know, slowly, you know, take out enemies, it's a pretty tough game, but it is a lot of fun, so I definitely recommend this one. And then another one I got is Match's Odyssey, Oddworld. This one's not complete, but I do have this, like, I guess this was like an extra manual, or maybe this was just in the copy I bought. But basically 3D platformer. I believe this was, this series started on the PlayStation 1 and then came over to the Xbox. You know, it was decent. I haven't really played too much of it, but, you know, I got it because it was cheap. Most of the stuff here was cheap that I got, so that's why I have it. But yeah, pretty fun. You know, decent little platformer. Alright, next two up, I have The Suffering and The Suffering Ties That Blind. So The Suffering is complete, and the Ties That Blind, the sequel, is not. But yeah, I made a review about The Suffering. I really enjoyed this game. And then the sequel I'm going to play through at some point, and really like that one so far. Pretty fun, like action, horror games. Had little issues with glitches and stuff in the first one, so hopefully the second one isn't as glitchy. But yeah, if you guys are interested in some, it kind of gave me like some Max Payne vibes, so it's not really like, I wouldn't say it's like a survival horror, more of just like an action horror game, because you don't really have to conserve your ammo, and you don't really have to worry about, you know, solving puzzles and things like that and trying to escape. It's more just like mowing down enemies. But yeah, pretty good games. Alright, next one is Ninja Gaiden. This one is complete. So, this is when they rebooted the series on the Xbox. This game seems like it's a lot of fun. It's pretty difficult. I can't get past the first boss. I was enjoying the game up until that point, but I'm having a tough time getting past him. So I'll have to try to give this game more time to see if I can get through that part. Hopefully I can, because I do really want to play more of this game. It seems like a lot of fun. So again, Ninja Gaiden was rebooted back then on the original Xbox, so definitely recommend that one if you're a fan of the series. Next one up is Godfather, the game. This one's complete and has the map. Really looking forward to getting through this, or getting into this one more. It is kind of like a Grand Theft Auto type, maybe a little bit more story-driven Godfather game, and I've never actually seen the movies. I gotta check those out as well. But yeah, gonna definitely look forward to. Definitely gonna try to get more into that one. All right, one of my favorite games on the original Xbox, Fable. This is the Lost Chapters Platinum Hits version. This one's complete. One of my favorite games on the original Xbox. I loved Fable back in the day, and I still love it to this day. It's a really good RPG, very easy to pick up and play, and also it allows for a lot of freedom because there's a good and evil system. So basically, the decisions you make in the game will dictate how your character ends up looking. So if you're good, you'll start to get gray hair, and you'll start to get big, and I think by the end of the game, you have like a little halo above your head. And then if you end up being bad, you get these horns that come out, so you start to grow and grow and grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger. And yeah, so there's just a lot of freedom there. And then also, depending on how you play the game, your character will kind of change the way they look. So if you use like a heavier weapon, your character will kind of bulk up. If you use like a smaller, lighter weapon, your character will be kind of slender. So it's pretty cool. So definitely recommend this game if you guys haven't played it. Next one up is another one of those double discs. This one is Star Wars The Clone Wars and Tetris Worlds. This one is not complete, but it is one of those double discs. So, or it is in an original case. So basically this one, again, Star Wars The Clone Wars, didn't really play it growing up. I kind of just missed out on it, but again, there were so many Star Wars games. But I did enjoy what I played of it in this video. The gameplay kind of seems pretty simple. You play as Mace Windu, and just kind of had some vehicles to have some vehicle combat with. I'm guessing that's just the first level, because I've seen some gameplay and I believe you actually use your lightsaber and other things. Tetris Worlds, probably just more of the same. I mean, it's Tetris. If you like Tetris, I'm sure you'd enjoy this game. So, haven't played a whole lot of Tetris, but that is a cool one to have. And then the last action-adventure game is Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. This one is complete. So another rebooted series on the original Xbox. This one, in a lot of ways, changed the gameplay. I don't really remember much about the first Prince of Persia. I never really played it growing, back in the day. But this one, it was a lot of fun. It does have like a rewind feature, so if you kind of miss a jump or something, you can rewind a little bit and try to do the jump again. So it's a pretty cool game. Definitely recommend it. There's some others in the sequel, but I want to say this one was the best one. I never played the sequels, but I think this one is higher regarded than those. All right, and then the last section of games is going to be my first-person shooters. So these obviously are the bread and butter of the original Xbox to me. I think first-person shooters really hit their stride on this console because it finally was able to do what the PC could do as far as graphically and control-wise. Obviously, it's not going to be a mouse and keyboard, but I think this is really where console first-person shooters hit their stride. So first one up is the Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay. I had this one complete as well. So just recently picked this one up and enjoyed what I've played so far. It's a pretty good first-person shooter. It looks like you have a lot of different weapon choices as you progress into the game. And yeah, so this game looks amazing too, so definitely recommend this one. Next one up is CounterStrike. It's Platinum Hits version. This one's complete. And CounterStrike was obviously a PC game that by Valve that came over to the original Xbox. This one was, I remember this one being huge when it came out because of the Xbox Live feature. Unfortunately, you can't play it on Xbox Live anymore. There might be a way around it with some tunneling software, but you can still play the game offline, but you can't play it with multiple people. It only supports one player, which does kind of suck. But it is a pretty cool game. Just, a lot of fun, playing the different game types. And this is another one you can listen to your music while you're playing the game. So, again, load up your Xbox with some music. CounterStrike. Alright, another one is Medal of Honor Frontline, Platinum Hits. This one's complete as well. And back in this day, Medal of Honor was the go-to, World War II first shooter. Call of Duty kind of came a little bit later and completely, obliterated this series. But before that, Medal of Honor was those games, and this one was really cool. The first level is, probably the best level of the game, obviously. But you start out with, storming the beach at Normandy for D-Day, and then of course the game kind of progresses from there as you go along. And yeah, it's just a ton of fun. I really want to play this one again. I remember renting it back in the day and just enjoying it. I think I ended up picking it up eventually and playing through the whole thing. But yeah, so it's a really good first-person shooter. All right, the last two. These are the last two games I have, and of course, no Xbox collection is complete without these two, and that is Halo and Halo 2. Unfortunately, my Halo 2 is loose. Halo 1 is complete. These games are the reason to own an Xbox because they are just some of the best games ever made. Halo 1 for me will always be king. I think I just have so much more nostalgia for it than Halo 2. I just love the story. I love the different levels. I just remember the couch co-op and just having a blast with my friends playing through it and just playing the levels over and over and over again. Halo 2, more of the same, kind of changed up the story a little bit, and obviously added Xbox Live, which was the biggest difference with Halo 2. I remember waiting in line at GameStop to pick up Halo 2 when it came out, and I had to go to school the next day, so I remember I waited in line. My mom let me and my brother, wait at 11 o'clock until midnight to get the game, so we waited, got the game, went home, and had to go back to bed so I could wake up for school. And I remember I woke up about an hour or so early so I could play a little bit of the game before I went to school. And that day at school, I was just so, I was so excited. I could not wait for school to end so I could go home and play more of Halo 2. But, you can't go wrong with either of these games. Fantastic series. And definitely the reason to own an Xbox. Whew. That's it, guys. Let me know what you think of the games I have. And, yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys' comments. I really appreciate it. And I enjoy chatting with you guys down there. And next one in the series will be my Super Nintendo collection, so stay tuned for that. And hope you guys take care.